Alright, I've begun to assemble my Sisters of Battle. Why am I playing Sisters of Battle? I've always wanted to play Sisters of Battle, but they are metal, and up until this point, they've been crappy, and so there's no point going through all that metal hardship for crappy army. But now they're good as a small. I don't know if they're good as a complete force in themselves, but they're definitely good as a sort of a quarter or even maybe even up to a third of your army as a scouting melta-force. I think that's the part of Sisters I like, and when I played against Chris and his sisters, they certainly confirmed that I like that style of hitting, sort of scouting up, kind of like the old battle companies. So I decided to get a set of Dominions, and initially I've been looking on all the second-hand places for Sisters, and of course you can't find them, or they're extremely expensive, and lo and behold, you can just get them straight from GW for about the same price as you get gouged for online, maybe even a little bit cheaper. And 2 days later I have all of it in my hands, so that was definitely convenient, and much more convenient than going through eBay. So I'm working through these metal miniatures, and yeah, they remind me of when I first started playing Warhammer in the 90s, when I had metal Marines and metal Orcs. And I gotta say though, these miniatures are pretty detailed for metal miniatures. And other than a bit of that sort of flashing that you have to clear off, which isn't a lot on these models, although every time you look at them you find another piece, but they were very easy to clean. All you have to do is attach the backpack and they're done, and then you just stick them in the base and it fits so snugly you don't even need to glue them, you just snap them in. So it's been very easy to put them together, so we'll see about painting, but the assembly part is very easy. And with good super glue these days, gluing metal on metal is not difficult like it used to be, so that's good. Of course I have to convert these guys all to melta-guns. Only one of them comes with a melta-gun, that one there, so I'm going to have to convert 3 others to melta-guns, which are coming. I think the easiest way will just be to chop off the barrels, because these are all integrated into the body, because it's metal, of course, it's not a separate piece. Or I might just add a barrel on, so they're not all going to be perfect melta-guns, but it will be what it will be. What I might do actually is leave this one with the Stormbolter as the Sister Superior, so I can give the Stormbolters to Sister Superiors, and change that to a melta-gun because it's easy to alter. Anyway, we'll see what happens when I get the melta-guns, but that's the first squad of Dominions done. And we'll go on and finish. I got 4 in total, so we'll go on and finish the other 3. Alright, making Seraphim, and these are ridiculous. Easy to clean and stuff, but they come on these 2 little stalks, and then there's a little shim at the bottom, and somehow those are supposed to stand in these bases. No. So I had to putty them and then support them on with paint bottles in order to get them to stand. And this one, I guess she's the sergeant, her shim actually came off and it's impossible to reattach. So her toes are dipping into the base and puttied. You see all of these guys, the bases have been puttied and they're being held up until it solidifies. So they were a bit of a pain. The Dominions were easy, but all the infantry sisters are now done. Alright, work on the Dominion squad here. Of course I'm running all melta-guns, so I have to convert 3 members of the squad to melta-guns. One is the Canoness Sister Superior, who just has a bolter. The other has a melta-gun already, and then there's 2 flamers and a stormbolter in there, so I need to convert them to melta-guns. Now, of course, you can buy the melta-gun sister separately for $16 each. So I'm like 12, 16, yeah, not worth it. This was like $4, and then so for these flamer ones, that's easy. I just need to cut the flamer part of it off and put the melta barrel on, and cut the little gas canister off, which leaves a sort of metallic patch on the leg because it's attached to the upper leg, but that's no big deal. That probably won't notice that very much after you paint it. But so that's the conversion for those guys, simple enough. These guys, however, will be a little bit more difficult. Not really sure how to convert these guys. So because it's metal, one piece, it's impossible to cut it out. Like, it would be literally impossible. And if it did, it would leave this massive kind of shiny, jagged metal bit to it. So I'm going to have to get creative with this. Probably what I'm going to do is probably just try and cut the barrel off and put the melta barrel on. And it's not going to look great, like super awesome, but that's how it's going to be. Alternatively, I could run this as, because this sister superior can take Stormbolter. That's a Stormbolter. So this could be the superior model. And then I could just fork up money for 4 of the Melta sisters. Maybe that will be better. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when we get there, what to do with this Stormbolter sister. Reggie? Are you a fan of sisters? Reggie? Are you a fan of sisters? Maybe? Maybe? No? Okay. So I finished doing my Dominions up with Melta barrels, really. It's impossible to replace the whole gun, so I just replaced the barrels. And actually, I ended up using the Sister Superior, who has the bolt gun sticking out, and just replaced that with the Melta barrel. It looks pretty cool. And I took off the cartridge, obviously. And so these guys are now normal Dominions. And then actually, they also have hair, like the other ladies. So some of them have helmets. Some of them have helmets and some of them have hair. And the other ones with the Stormbolters are now my Sister Superiors. So there we go. Still 2 just solidifying, but my Dominions are done, ready to be painted. I've also picked up the Regimental Advisors, one of which is the Officer of the Fleet, one is the Master of Ordnance, and the one that I really wanted was the Astropath, which is here. That's been on back order and I finally received. So there we go, got my Astropath ready to go as well. It's just one piece, didn't require any finesse, and actually very little cleaning to do on these metal models. So we're going to get on and with the rest of the process. Alright, just to go with my Imperial Soup Sisters Ministorum type stuff are some Arcoflagellants. These are these kind of old school fine cast models, shouldn't be too hard to put together. And also Ministorum Priest. There's no good model for Ministorum Priest. I think there's one where the dude is like holding out an icon, but I personally like this guy. He's kind of like priestly, as you can see, and he's got a weapon on the arm, and he's got this book on the staff. So I think he looks very priest-like. Lots of scrolls and stuff. So I'm using him as my Ministorum Priest. Oh, here's his. He's got a chainsword here, so that's pretty cool. So that's it. So I'm going to put these guys together, and that should be good. All right, they're done. Pretty creepy models. These kind of flesh metal, sort of flail for arms, mutant type masked flagellants. Very creepy. And so I got 9 of them there, and then I've got my priest. So that's that done. We'll add that to the list of things to get primed. So for my guard army, I completely forgot that I had 2 earth shakers. So I spent the last little bit just cleaning them all up, giving them a wash and a scrub as Forge World resin as usual. I've got 2 of them there, did them both at the same time. Not a lot of parts, shouldn't take too long to get together. And they of course go with my Astra Militarum. I think in my list they may well replace the Manticores, which seem to be a little bit too expensive for guard stuff, whereas those guys are not as strong, but they are a lot cheaper. So we'll see. So once I get those guys assembled and primed up to this stage, then there's going to be a big paint fest. Alright, I finished one Earthshaker battery. It's just being held up here while being glued into this locked up position. It's actually a bit too loose. It just kind of flops around, so I had to glue it in, which is fine. A little bit of a pain for transport probably, but this model is not really made to be easily transported. Pretty good model. Fits together pretty well. All the pieces fit together. My glue was failing me. I've been using this LePage liquid gel stuff, which is pretty good for everything. But on this model, for whatever reason, nothing was sticking. I had to resort to my Gorilla Glue. And that made a big difference. So it was frustrating. Nothing was sticking. I'd hold it for minutes at a time and nothing would stick. But got it together. Got one more to go. And we'll be done putting these guys together. Alright, work on Astra Militarum continues with this new batch of Forge World Elysians. So I decided that I did not like the old school Tempestus Scions. And I thought they just looked too dead zone for me. Actually I bought a couple of Scion Tempestus Prime upgrades kits, basically, which is just the cape and the rod, which turns them into primes. So I'm going to turn these guys into primes, and these are my Elysians, and they look pretty cool so far. So Elysian, of course, are the drop troopers, which are almost exactly the same stat wise as Scions, but just look a little bit cooler. And so I bought 4 command squads, which gives me, and then enough bodies for a bunch of command squads, and hopefully enough plasma guns. I kind of calculated it out with math, and so hopefully I got enough. Here are kind of the head parts. So they have that kind of mask. Some of them are kind of bare heads. Very cool. And instead of just normal looking las guns, they have these kind of rifle looking bits. Look way more military to me than the Scions. I don't really like the Scions. Here's kind of their classic sort of las gun, which looks more like a MP5 rifle sort of thing. And you can also buy grav shoots for them. I didn't buy those, but you could. And then I got 4 of these weapons packs for more plasma. Also comes with meltas and the las guns and shotguns. So got 4 of these packs. So I should have enough for 20 Scions, and most of them with plasma guns. Of course you need ones that don't have plasma guns, so I should have enough there. So these guys are going to be my Scions. Going to be super cool, and should be a very nice addition to my army there. So alright, these 3 dudes have been promoted to Tempestor Primes. Lost their las guns, gained command rods, and a nice cloak, spiky helmet, and a little knife. How nice for these guys. They don't fit perfectly because I guess they're not the model. I think this is the only guy this guy was the only guy meant to be a prime though. This guy, so his cloak fits pretty nice, but the other ones don't fit as nice, so I'm going to have to fill some gaps once they're set. But once it's painted, it won't look too bad. And so I got my 3 primes. I think I'm only going to end up using one of them most of the time because I'm not going to run that many command squads. But I have 3 just in case, and these guys were literally sitting around doing nothing. So now they have a new life as Tempestor Primes. Alright, work on the Elysians has started. I've managed to cut out and trim and glue together legs and bodies. All the bodies are the same, but the legs are kind of 4 or 5 different designs. I've got all the standing ones will be the plasmas, and all the other ones, including kneeling ones and running ones, will be the guns. And I've got 11 plasma guns in total. I swear I had 12, but I cannot find the 12th one for the life of me, so we have 11 now. Only need 10 for my current list, but we'll probably go with 10 plasma and 10 normal troopers, and that'll give me enough for like 2 command squads and a normal science squad, or what I have now, 3 science squads with 1 command squad with 4 plasma. So that gives me enough for a couple of permutations. Funnily enough, all the stuff came with 4 extra legs, but not enough bodies to make 4 extra troopers. So I guess just 4 posing options, and then we have a whole bunch of weapon options here. It's pretty cool. This is the instruction booklet, really. It's not that detailed. You just got a list of all the parts here, and then you have these sort of different poses that you could have them in. So pretty cool looking guys with these kind of visor helms. Really look more cool than the Tempestus in my eye anyway. This kind of underslung plasma gun, pretty cool. They got water bottles and grenades and little holsters. Like they got water bottles there. Now these guys, The grav chutes are separate. I didn't buy any grav chutes. I didn't realize they were separate until now, when it says here grav chutes are separate. So I might buy them or not. I haven't decided yet. It's another kind of shipment from Forge World. So I have to think about that. But for now, we'll make them without the grav chutes. Alright, I'm done gluing the Elysian heads on now. These Elysians are so cool. Like, look at that. Got this kind of visor on this like drop helmet. This sort of faces. Very cool. Dynamic poses. Very cool models. The only thing I gotta say is the way they've been sculpted is a lot of them look like kyphotic. They have this kind of curvature to the back and to the neck. They look like their head's sticking out at a weird angle. Most of them kind of look like that. Even the guys who are just standing up straight still kind of look like they're bent over. Minor complaint though. These guys otherwise look very cool. So I've got my 10 kind of plasma gunners, and then I've got my 10 las gunners, and this guy is going to be my commander. He's the only guy with the visor flipped up to show this face here. Right, so while I'm waiting for those to get really nice and set, I'm going to start to pull the arms off. Alright, some work has continued on assembling these Elysians. Here I have a bunch of fully assembled just lasgun dudes. Pretty cool. These guys are still waiting for the gun arms to solidify, and then some of them have gaps which I'm going to have to heat and bend. Some of them just have little gaps I'm just going to fill with some acrylic. Yeah, that guy's just waiting for his arm. And then I have these guys. The plasma weapons are a little bit tricky. There's this arm here that goes over the top. Then the plasma fits under the hand, and then you have to chop the bar across the top of the plasma so that this hand here, which has the bar built into it, can go into that slot. It seems a bit crazy that you have to chop this piece in order to fit this arm in, but these are the pieces that they tell you to use on the instructions for the plasma dude, so I guess that's what you have to do because that's the piece. So that's a little bit crazy, but anyway, we're doing it. So I'm doing it one arm at a time, and then if I need to putty it or move it with the heat, I can do that when it's all set. So I've got 4 guys set up there that come with the arms. And then, of course, these 6 guys don't come with arms. And when you buy the plasma from the extra weapons pack, it's just a gun like that with no arm on it and definitely no other arm. So that doesn't work. So what I had to do was I had lots of lasgun arms. So I took the lasgun barrels off of the lasguns and took the plasma barrels off the plasma guns and whacked it together. And as you can see, the plasma guns look very similar to the lasguns. They're not that special. They don't even have a huge amount of detail in terms of the plasma area. So I think this will do because I don't really know how else to do it other than trying to buy lots of extra little tiny bits. So these are now my plasma guns, and these now come with an arm and a hand underneath. And then so I got 6 of those that I made. I'm just waiting for them to solidify. But I only have so far 3 other hand, like the left hand, that slots into the underslung hand. I've got some other sort of arm bits here that I could use, I guess. So I might have to continue to sort of kit bash and hack together some arms there. I think I'll be okay. I just need 3 left arms. And then that will be okay. I also have actually another pack of command squad as well as snipers, so I'm sure that pack will have an extra 3 or 4 arms that I can use if these guys, I can't do it. So it's a little bit of a tricky assembly, but they're coming along, and we'll keep going. All right, almost done assembly for my very kyphotic Elysians. Some of these guys are bent over really good. And I don't know, it's just the way that the kit is made. It just can't get it to look like the pictures. These plasma guys, obviously these plasma guns are very heavy. Who else? Like this gunner guy kind of bent over. These guys are okay because they're kind of leaning back a little bit. You know, some guys are upright like these guys. And then there's like that guy who's like really bent over. Even the commander's a little bit bent over. And then there's some really cool guys like these guys. And a couple of guys that I kind of converted a little bit. So this guy who's carrying his plasma gun like that. And then there's like this guy who's one-handing it with a breaching charge. Pretty cool. And then there's these guys. These guys with the arms up in the back. That's pretty cool. Not quite done yet. There's still shoulder pads to put on, which are tiny. Here are the shoulder pads. Pretty tiny. So we're going to put those on, or try and put them on. And then you can put lots of stuff on the back, like these water bottles. They just kind of flat on one side. They just go on the back somehow. Then there's lots of other things like grenades and combat knives and things you can put on. Lots of little details you can put on these guys. So I might go on and do that. And then they'll truly be done assembly. Finally, it's taken quite a while. It's taken me a week to assemble these guys. And got my primes at the back. So there we go. Almost done assembling the Elysians. Alright, shoulder pads are on. A little bit painstaking because they're tiny little pieces, but got them all on everybody. And there's special ones with the Aquila on the on this dude here. He's like the captain, whatever, commander dude. So pretty good. All the stuff that goes on the back, the water bottle and the knives and everything, I have ended up ordering the grav shoot packs because they look pretty cool. So rather than run the risk of bumping into them because I don't know how big they are, I'm going to leave that stuff off for now and put the grav shoot packs on first, and then if there's space I'll put holsters and water bottles and final details on these guys after that. So for now they're done. Just wait for that next order to arrive. And so that's the progress on these guys.